avec le gros bon sens. Thank you very much, everyone. Now in English. I got some terrible news today. The average mortgage payment in Canada has now risen to $3,500. I had been saying that housing costs had doubled under Justin Trudeau. It's now far worse than that. The average mortgage payment has gone from $1,400 the day that Trudeau promised he would make housing affordable to $3,500. That's 2.5 times higher. This is the fastest increase in mortgage payment costs in the history of Canada, and by far. You know, we saw a defense lawyer come out the other day saying she's helped 3 clients who've asked to stay in prison longer than their sentence, rather than go face the housing hell Trudeau has caused out on our streets. But the truth is, and joking aside, for young people and the working class, the housing market, after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, is a prison. It's a prison of walls for 350-square-foot apartments that cost $2,000 a month, or parents' basements where young adults of 35 years old live, never having a chance to start a family with their biological clocks running out. And I used to say that. You all said, oh, Poilievre's exaggerating. Now, 35-year-old living in mom's basement after 8 years of Trudeau is the least of our concerns. Now the worry is whether that 35-year-old and his mother are going to end up in a tent on a street where nurses and carpenters now live after 8 years of Trudeau. Let me ask you this. What happens in Canada in the next 2 years as people's mortgages roll over and their monthly bills go up by $2,000 or $3,000 a month? What happens? What happens when they can't pay? Where do they go? Our homeless shelters are already overflowing. Our refugees already live on the streets and under bridges. What do you think is going to happen when 10 or 100,000 families lose their homes? Where will they go? Where will they go? We will have the world talking about a humanitarian crisis, not in a developing country on the other side of the Atlantic, but right here in Canada. That is where this is heading. We have never seen it like this before. And we were supposed to have solutions out of this big housing retreat Trudeau held. What was the solution? More speeches, more photo ops, more puff pieces for his incompetent housing minister to go out and attack the very programs he was running 2 weeks ago. Nothing. Justin Trudeau, the vacation is over. You've doubled housing costs. We have young people living on the streets. It's time to recall the House so that we can get Canadians a home. Conservatives will put forward tangible solutions to the problems you have caused, Mr. Trudeau. To balance the budget and bring down interest rates on mortgages, to remove the massive bureaucracies you've built up so that housing construction can go ahead, to sell off thousands of acres of land and thousands of federal buildings to build, build, build. But we have to get back to work. Your vacation is over. Canadians can't wait, and they can no longer live under the disastrous housing market you have created, Mr. Trudeau. So let's get to work and bring it home. Thank you.
Will a Conservative government prohibit gender-affirming health care as a policy submission suggests in your upcoming convention?
I haven't had a chance to study all the proposals at our convention, but we'll take a careful look at every proposal and decide whether or not it lines up with our platform.
The Prime Minister says that you're making people angry. Do Canadians need help making people angry?
Justin Trudeau is worried that people are angry. You know what I worry about? I worry about the nurse living in her van after 8 years of Trudeau. I worry about the tent cities that never existed before he was Prime Minister, but now we see every single city in Canada. I worry about the 30,000 families that have lost loved ones to drug overdoses because of the hopeless economy and situation in which they find themselves. You know what I found, interestingly? I hold these rallies, and I invite every single person at every single rally to come and shake my hand. People aren't angry. They are hurting, and they are desperate for someone who gives them hope. And for so many millions of people, I am humbled by the fact that I am that person. I am the only one giving them hope that things can get better.
C'était sur celle-là, Monsieur Poilievre, en français. Monsieur Trudeau vous a accusé là, ce matin là, d'alimenter la colère. Comment vous réagissez à ça? Est-ce que vous l'alimentez, cette colère-là?
Justin Trudeau accuse les Canadiens encore d'être fâchés. Justin Trudeau croit que les Canadiens sont le problème et non pas lui. Il veut accuser les Canadiens d'être fâchés pour que tout le monde oublie que c'est lui qui a doublé le coût de logement. C'est lui qui a causé une 40% augmentation dans la criminalité. C'est lui qui était au pouvoir lorsque 30 000 personnes ont perdu la vie à cause des surdoses de drogue. C'est lui qui a forcé 1,5 million de Canadiens d'aller à une banque alimentaire. Et Justin Trudeau accuse les Canadiens d'être fâchés. Je rencontre ces gens-là à mes rassemblements, dans les cafés, au restaurant. Ils ne sont pas fâchés. Ils sont en peine sévère, comme jamais vu au Canada. En moi, ils voient quelqu'un qui leur donne de l'espoir. Finalement, quelqu'un donne de l'espoir que les choses peuvent être mieux. C'est ce que je fais. Et je réclame que le premier ministre arrête d'accuser les Canadiens d'être fâchés, parce que c'est lui qui est à blâmer et non pas les Canadiens.
The Prime Minister also gave an appeal to younger Canadians today, seeming to talk about these issues you're talking about, knowing that people are upset. Seeing the polls and young Canadians, millennials specifically, the Conservatives are well ahead. So what solutions are you offering that the Prime Minister isn't?
I'm basically proposing to do the exact opposite of everything he's done on this file. He doubled housing costs. When I was housing minister, housing cost half as much. How are we going to do it? We're going to balance the budget to bring down inflation and interest rates on mortgages. We're going to remove the massive bureaucracy that adds $1.3 million to the cost of a new home in Vancouver. We're going to do what the Squamish did in that city, which is go around the city's bureaucracy to build 6,000 housing units on 10 acres of land. Why did they do that? Because they didn't have to listen to City Hall. They were freed from the bureaucracy that stops home building. We're going to sell off 6,000 acres of federal land, 6,000 buildings and thousands of acres of federal land to build, build, build. We're going to give the same support to the trades that we give to the professions and universities so that we can have more boots, not just more suits, to build the houses of the future. The reason young people are showing their support for me is because they know that I can deliver affordable homes, more powerful paychecks, and lower costs. That's the hopeful message that has inspired youth to back Pierre Poilievre.
Do you think Canada should lower the number of international student permits, as one minister suggested?
Well, listen, there's no question that Sean Fraser has ruined the program. I find it incredible these puff pieces are being written about Trudeau's housing minister. I thought he was the immigration critic for the official opposition yesterday, attacking the very programs that he ran up until 2 weeks ago. Somebody, and I want to thank the multicultural media for not being asleep at the switch and actually covering the disasters that are unfolding right now in that program because of Sean Fraser's total incompetence. We as Conservatives will make sure that international students have homes, health care, and when they want it, jobs, so that we can get back to a system that supports our universities, attracts the world's brightest people, helps the demographics of our country, but does not leave people living in squalor, human trafficking, drug overdoses, and other humanitarian horrors that Sean Fraser allowed to go ahead. And the fact that they promoted Sean Fraser to housing after the disaster he made of immigration programs is incredible. This is a guy who put refugees on the streets and under bridges, and now he's the housing minister? Any wonder why housing costs have doubled under Trudeau?
Last question. Foreign interference, can you discuss the kind of names that your parties are seeing? Because there's been some reports suggesting that some people have turned down the job. Dominic LeBlanc was talking about consulting the Supreme Court Justice on names. So can you just talk about the kind of names you've seen and what the process was like?
Well, we came forward with a mandate and a number of names that we thoroughly vetted for nonpartisanship and high qualifications, and we handed them to the government. It's up to the Prime Minister's department to then approach those people and convince them to fill the positions. Our view is that while we're open to negotiating, we want a process that gets done quickly so we can have the truth before the election. It has to be nonpartisan. It can't be another Liberal donor or another Trudeau family friend. And we need a mandate to achieve all